Hi, Dr. Sullivan Ford and class of Dr. Sullivan Ford. I'm Karen Kitzmiller. I am a real estate broker here in the Charlotte area with Remax Executive, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share my thoughts today about the housing market in Charlotte, the shortage, affordability, the whole nine. And again, I appreciate you allow me to be part of your assignment. This is super exciting for me. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you a quick overview relative to housing inventory. I'm not going to give a huge market overview, but just relative to the inventory. And then I'm going to step through a couple of things where sort of Karen's idea of some things that have caused the situation we're in now. Unfortunately, I don't have any great solutions, but I don't think that's the point of today's discussion. So let's jump right in. I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me while I pull open this presentation. Okay, and here we are. So again, Charlotte real estate market. I know we're talking about affordable housing, lack of inventory, how it all contributes to everything. So here is a quick overview. Again, this is relative to the housing shortage overall. So if I look at housing inventory 2020 versus 2021, and this would be like kind of April versus April. The homes for sale, number of homes for sale last April in 2020, just right after pandemic hit, was just over 9,000. You can see here, just over 9,000 homes. And we had about 2.1 months of inventory. What does that mean? Inventory is, if all of the homes that are currently active on the market sold to the amount of buyers who are out there, this is how long it would take all of those homes to sell. So it would take, a little over 2 months for those homes to sell as of last April. Um, we say anything under 6 months of inventory is a seller's market. And then if we fast forward to 2021, you can see here that the number of homes for sale decreased by nearly 67%. We only had 3,000 homes on the market in April. And we had less than 1 month of inventory. And I'll tell you that point 0.6 was down to, I want to say like point 0.4 back in January, February timeframe. So it's come up a little bit, but it's still horrible. And I will tell you, in this business, I've been in it since 2007. Even prior to 2020, we were experiencing a shortage. So it has decreased steadily over the past couple of years. So let's talk about some of the reasons why. There's three things really I'm going to talk about. Interest rates. We're going to spend a couple minutes on interest rates. We're going to talk about the impact of rental companies in the Charlotte market. And we're going to talk about population growth and how that relates to housing starts and new construction. And then we'll kind of tie it all together with this vicious cycle that we're talking about. But I like to call all of these things coming together at one time the perfect storm of real estate. And so this situation we're in, this market we're in, is really the perfect storm of everything coming together to create these challenges we're having. All right, so interest rates, they are historically low. Right now, they're between 3 and 4%. What does that really mean? And I'll say they've really been low since the market crash in 2007, 2008. The interest rates started coming down to try to entice people to buy. And they've been at historical low levels ever since then. So what does that look like? On a $300,000 house, which is, that's sort of around the average sales price in Charlotte. It's a little high, but let's pretend you're putting 10% down. If your interest rate is at 3%, your principal and interest payment part of your mortgage is going to be just over $1,100. Now, if that interest rate ticks up 1 percentage point to 4%, your interest and your principal and interest payment is going to jump by over $100. So that's pretty significant. That's $1,200 a year. If we're at 8%, which is actually where we were when I bought my first house in '99, you can see what that does to your mortgage payment. You're at nearly $2,000 per month. So again, it's a big difference when you're talking about the ability to buy a house. The end result, buyers want to take advantage of these low interest rates. And so these low interest rates allow people who couldn't buy a house before to be able to afford a house now. So that makes more buyers come into the market because they can afford to buy all of a sudden. So this, more buyers Less inventory means more competition. So that is one contributing factor so far to our housing crisis. Next are these rental companies, institutional buyers. These are big conglomerates backed by Wall Street money, backed by, millions and millions and millions of dollars. They come into markets like Charlotte and they started buying up homes here again back at the recession. They own probably tens of thousands of rental properties in Charlotte. They buy in cash. Sellers love cash. So when you have your house listed for sale, someone presents you with a cash offer. It's a quick closing. There's probably not going to be an appraisal done. And it's an easy thing. So sellers say, yes, please, I love the cash. And so a lot of these companies are buying homes in cash. And what that looks like is it takes homes out of the sales circulation. I would estimate that most of my clients are in their properties anywhere from 3 to 7 years. And when they're ready to move on, upsize, downsize, move out of the area, that home can get sold on the open market. Well, the problem with these institutional buyers, number one, these are rental properties. And so they're just being rented, they're not being sold. But when they do get sold, typically it's part of a package that's going as a whole rental portfolio that might be going to another institutional buyer. So people like you and me don't have the opportunity to compete and purchase that house to live in. So it takes all of these tens of thousands of homes out of the sales circulation, which again puts a crunch on the inventory. So those are the rental companies. And lastly, population growth. Um, these numbers are from the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance. And from 2017 to 2018, we experienced net growth. And I apologize, I'm realizing I have a typo here in my slide, of 123 people per day in the Charlotte area, the whole MSA. So some of it could be births, but most of it is people moving here because they love Charlotte, they love the climate, they love the city, they love the job opportunity. 123 people per day from 17 to 18. From 18 to 19, that grew to 125 people per day. From 19 to 20, we had the pandemic in 20, but we still had 35 net growth per day. So this is a huge number. And guess what? Builders have not kept up with the population growth. And this really is a nationwide problem in addition to being a Charlotte problem. But if I look at numbers from the US Census, housing starts. So, housing starts when a builder pulls a permit to build a house. That's kind of a housing start. And back before the recession, let's go back to 2000. From 2000 to 2007, and I'm looking over here at my numbers, housing starts were anywhere from 1.5 million to 2 million per year. So, that was a pretty good number to keep up with population growth in general when mixed with resale homes and that sort of thing. The recession hit, and from 2008 through 2014, we didn't even hit a million. It was anywhere from 500,000 to 900,000. So already they were starting to decrease the amount of building. And that's because when the recession hit, a lot of those builders were left with homes that they couldn't sell anymore. And they didn't want to get burned again. So they really held off on building homes. So, if you're thinking if 1.5 million is a good number and you're building 600,000, or let's call it 500,000, you're missing out on a million homes starting every year. So that just can't keep up with the amount of growth we saw. Now in 2015 through 2020, that number ticked up back above a million, but it was still only 1.1 million, 1.2 million. The bottom line is they didn't keep up. I've heard some facts and figures in March of this year that we were annualized looking to be back up to like 1.5 million for this year. So they're starting to build more, but they haven't kept up. So again, this has also contributed to just not enough homes for people to live in. So let's review. I mean, we've talked about low interest rates. We've talked about fewer homes on the market equaling more competition. We've talked about how more homes were turned into rentals. And we've talked about the population growth and how builders haven't kept up with the population growth. and how that has contributed to not enough homes on the market. So the end result is this vicious cycle. Sellers are saying to me, Karen, I'd love to sell my house, but I don't have anywhere to go. Well, guess what? They're not selling their house. So the buyers who would be buying their house don't want to sell their house because they don't have anywhere to go. It creates this vicious cycle of lack of housing, of course, increased pricing with competition, and certainly decreased affordability for people who are trying to buy their first home or their fifth home, whatever the case may be. It's truly a vicious cycle created by this perfect storm of these items. So that is it. I'm happy to answer questions. If you guys have any, feel free to connect with me on social. My number is up there on the screen, email, anything I can do to help you. And I appreciate your interest and your time. And thank you again to Dr. Sullivan Ford for having me do this little guest sourcing, if you will. All right, good luck with your assignments and have a wonderful day.